Bookbibuli podcast. Why do apples fall downward instead of upward? How can an astronaut age more slowly than her twin sister? Why do we use so many zeros to represent large numbers? Why doesn't a broken glass fix itself? And how old is the universe? The world is full of mysteries, and physicists have long pondered these curious questions. But for children, physics tends to be boring. However, our authors for the day have written this beautiful book which makes physics engaging. And in this book, you'll encounter remarkable individuals, including many Indians, who uncovered answers to these and other perplexing queries, and discover how some answers led to even more intriguing questions. We have Swagata Dev and Sandipan Dev with us. And honestly, I don't think I'm qualified enough to introduce them. So I would request them to please introduce themselves.
Hi Richa, hi Ashish, and hello to anyone who's listening in. I'm Sandipan. You can call me an unemployed journalist. I retired at the age of, I retired from regular work in my 40s and have been unemployed for the rest of the time. Uh, I write columns for newspapers and websites. I've written a few books also. This book is very special because uh, my wife Swagata and we collaborated on this book. So it was really a labor of love, and it took us almost 3 years to write the book, mainly because of my laziness, and it's primarily Swagata's book. I'm You can call me the editor of the book.
Hi, I'm Swagata. I've worn a great many hats. I've been a mother, a teacher, a writer, a painter, a Reiki healer. I love music. I love nature. I love to cook also. And I'm so happy to be here and meet you guys.
Welcome, both of you. Well, to the first question. While children naturally gravitate towards fiction, integrating science into science fiction or non-fiction requires a foundation. At what age should a child be introduced to non-fiction books, especially like the one that you've written? I mean, especially those on physics.
I believe non-fiction books should be introduced to children when they've been exposed to the stuff, some of the academic stuff, Once they have some basis in physics, they can go on to read non-fiction books on physics. So without some background, I don't think non-fiction books would carry so much weight with children.
I would say a child should be introduced to non-fiction, especially relating to the sciences, around middle school, class 6, class 7, because at that point he or she, they have some knowledge of um, Newton's laws or chemical reactions, etc. And at that point, if you can get the child to read more non-fiction on these issues, it we have to engage them with their curiosity, make them more curious. That is the point, I think. And if we can write something engaging which arouses the child's curiosity, I think that is the most important job. Because as the child reads, he or she also gets to know himself or herself better and formulates some goals for life or career. We have to The critical part of science books is that we have to make them interesting to the child and arouse the curiosity. That is the job, really. And if you can do that, I think we have contributed to the future in a substantial manner.
Congratulations for creating a book that reads so easily. In fact, The tone I felt was conversational, which was a big win for me. Starting with the title, Why the Apple Falls. While the apple fell down, the branches were rising towards the sky. Having interesting concepts that overlap each other makes it very stimulating for children. How have you brought this about in your book?
Basically, children are very curious, and I wanted to encourage that curiosity. And the world behaves differently at different levels. The universe is millions of light years across, and the atoms are 10 to the power minus 8 centimeters across. So, at different levels, different laws of physics work, and again, plants behave differently from falling apples. So, basically, children with questioning minds would readily absorb any kind of information and try to build a picture of their own, of the world and the universe. So that is what I hoped. I hoped my book would do.
Internationally, students are evaluated based on PISA scores, with India participating for the past few years. These scores assess maths, sciences, no surprises there, of course, and now, unexpectedly, reading. People have always thought of reading as more of a pastime compared to maths and science. Do you think, would it be possible that reading holds equal significance?
Yes, I think reading is a very important skill, and today's children probably don't read that much. But when we were kids, we gathered all our knowledge from books, and reading teaches us patience, it teaches us commitment, and it improves our attention span. So basically, our gray cells grow better if we read. And so I think reading is an extremely important part of education. We truly believe that children should read more, and we are very appreciative of what Bookbibuli is doing. So the North Star program by Bookbibuli offers an engaging approach to sparking enthusiasm for books in both kids and adults. It features an entertaining podcast series where book discussions take center stage. The program also hosts thrilling events, including author meet and greets and themed reading activities that bring stories to life. Additionally, the let out sessions provide a relaxed space for sharing thoughts on books, discussing current reads, and connecting with fellow book enthusiasts. With a variety of offerings, the Book Bibuli reading program makes reading an enjoyable experience for all ages.
I think Bookbibuli is performing a very important task because it is only through reading that children's minds can expand, especially in these days of, this huge screen time spent every day and lowering attention spans. I've I'm familiar with your North Star program, this dynamic reading program that you have, which by which you try to enhance children's skills in both writing and oration. What I understand is that you've integrated interactive storytelling, creative writing exercises, public speaking workshops. That's a lovely thing you are doing because the program, I'm sure, fosters a love for literature while building essential communication skills. And I mean, which is very necessary to get by in life. By encouraging children to craft their own stories, participate in group discussions, present their work in a supportive environment. This is a multifaceted approach that you have taken. So it not only, I think, improves their writing fluency, but also it gives them confidence in public speaking. And most of all, what we need today in this complex time is to ignite their imagination and critical thinking. Hmm. I understand that your program has personalized feedback and engaging activities. Uh, and I wish you all success, and I hope that young learners, hundreds and thousands of children, with the help of this program, can express themselves effectively and creatively.
Now to my favorite part of the book, men who became units. Tell us more about them.
Physics is full of quantities whose units are scientists. First of all, we have Newton, who has become a unit of force. Then we have Pascal, who is a unit of pressure. Watt is a unit of power. And Hertz is a unit of frequency. And maybe Sandeepan, you would like to add something more?
Let me talk about an Indian scientist here, Satyendranath Bose, because one of our aims in this book was to talk about Indian scientists from the early days, from Rishi Kanada, um, 2,500 years ago, who first formulated the theory of the atom, to right up to Jagadish Chandra Bose, Homi Bhabha, the Nobel laureate Subramanian Chandrasekhar, etc. Now, Bose should definitely, both the Boses in fact, should definitely have got the Nobel Prize. Satyendranath Bose, the there are basically two types of subatomic particles. One is called a fermion, and the other is called a boson, named after Satyendranath Bose. He never got the recognition that he should have got, but Einstein thought his work was so important that Einstein developed on his work and called it Bose-Einstein statistics, which is very vital to understanding what happens inside an atom. This is the Bose is the only scientist in the world whom Einstein collaborated with and gave him first credit. Bose's name comes first, Einstein's comes second. That was extremely generous of Einstein and also very admirable. So Bose is also at the subatomic particle level, there is a boson, and at the galactic supernova level, when entire stars explode, there is a type of stars called bosonova. So Bose is the only scientist on Earth whose name is associated with subatomic particles and the largest events that happen in the universe when a star explodes. We should be proud of him and we should know more about him.
This book has been jointly authored, and we would like to know how that works. Who takes care of the history, the concept, the conversational tone? Where does the credit lie?
Well, Swagata and I have been together for 40 years from our college days, from first year in college. So, working together was not difficult at all. The idea was hers, the basic writing is hers. She did most of the research. I came in very late because I have an editing background. For the last 30 years, I've just been editing other people's copy. So, what I did was I brought in the Indian angle to the story for the Indian scientists, and I added some anecdotes. It is Swagata's book. I sort of just cleaned up the text a bit and added some anecdotes by searching on the net so that the book becomes more personalized. That the theories of physics are important, but to make it engaging to a child, there have to be people, stories of people. So that is what I did.
I started writing the book as a book on the history of physics, and it was I who set the conversational tone. And I delved into the history of physics and I also introduced all the concepts. Then, when my book was nearly complete, Sandeepan took over and he revamped my book and he added lots of interesting anecdotes and made it more entertaining.
Currently, only 5% of books in India are non academic. And to truly nurture our children's development, we need a broader range. Also, when I went through the book, I felt that there are certain concepts that were beyond the scope of this book. However, our listeners might like to explore them. So, given all these thoughts put together, could you give a few recommendations for the next read?
There are a lot of non-academic books, but very few in India. Uh, to maintain the school child's interest, not class 6, 7, possibly slightly later, I can suggest several books. For example, there is a book called The Dancing Woolly Masters by Gary Zukov. It looks at physics, especially quantum physics, through Chinese and Indian philosophy. And I would also suggest the memoirs of Richard Feynman, Nobel laureate, and perhaps the most interesting scientist of the 20th century. His memoirs are extremely interesting. In fact, the first one is called Surely You Are Joking, Mr. Feynman. Uh, he did a lot of stuff, won the Nobel Prize. When he got the call from the Swedish Academy, middle of the night, that you have been awarded the Nobel Prize for physics, and you can bring uh, two people with you, two people of your choice to Stockholm. So first of all, he didn't believe that he had got the Nobel Prize, but when he confirmed, so he went out next morning to his garden, and there was his neighbor also watering his own garden. So he said, "Hey, you want to come with me to Stockholm?" So the guy said, "Why?" He said, "They've given me the Nobel. Come along, come along." And he went with that guy to get the Nobel Prize. At the age of 50, he suddenly started painting and became a very good painter. And at the age of 60, he started playing the bongo. So, in fact, he's a side character in the recent film Oppenheimer because he was involved in the nuclear bomb project. So, when you read books like this, when scientists are not boring, it sort of you enjoy it and you also get to learn something. We need more books like this in India.
It is so refreshing to encounter someone who views education from a progressive standpoint. With your innovative approaches to teaching, how do you envision the future of education?
I believe children should be given opportunities to discover for themselves, know the world around them, and also where their interests lie. And children should be students forever, and teaching should be activity based, discussion based, where children can discuss and debate among themselves. And also, a multidisciplinary approach would be good. When we were small, we were taught the sciences separately. Physics, chemistry, biology were all compartmentalized, whereas they are not so separate. For example, there's a lot of physics in our bodies also. Our nerve cells send electric currents to our brain, which interprets it as information, and our thought processes are quantum in nature. So basically, as understanding also develops, I believe the sciences will come together and children will be taught things more holistically.
You are both published authors. You both have a volume of work behind you. Which book would you say you had the most fun writing or is a favorite with you?
Uh, this book, of course, because I was writing about my favorite subject, and also because Sandipan and I co-authored it. So it was really exciting working together. And also, I had written a set of stories um, for children revolving around a small girl named Little. And my daughter was very small at that time, and had used her as a guinea pig to read out these stories to her. I would read them out to her, and then Sandeepan edited the book, and it became a family project. And later on, I'd gone to schools and I read out the stories, and it was great fun.
Well, the favorite would possibly be this one because here both of us worked together right from the beginning almost. It took us 3 years, but we really enjoyed the experience. We were doing something that we had not done together before. I have written several books, including a novel called The Last War. I reimagined the story of the Mahabharata set in the Mumbai underworld. That I really enjoyed writing. In fact, there was some talk at some point of time that uh, a channel or streaming service would possibly make a serial out of it. That didn't work out, but I really enjoyed doing that. After all, Mahabharata is the greatest story ever told by any human civilization.
At Bookbibuli, we are dedicated to raising readers, enhancing children's reading habits, and the quality of their reading experiences. What are your thoughts on the current reading habits of today's children?
I think it is a very worrying time, frankly speaking, because with children getting cell phones even before they have reached the even before they have become a teenager, attention spans are falling, and self gratification is on a rise. We have to make sure in some way, without making the child angry, that their screen time comes down because it has very strong implication at a societal level. This year, Jonathan Haidt, who's possibly the most respected social psychologist in America, has published a book called The Anxious Generation, where he shows with very clear cut, large scale data that this addiction to cell phones and screens is causing depression among children. In fact, the rate of suicide of teenagers has been rising in the West at an alarming level, and they can be directly linked to this addiction to cell phones and screens. So, it is our duty as a society, as parents, teachers, whoever, to make sure that our children spend some time reading. Because reading, one, it is a solitary activity. Two, when you read words, your mind visualizes what the writer is saying. When, say, Charles Dickens describes something in Victorian England, the child, when he reads it, it it triggers his imagination. What could that scene have been like? What could Oliver Twist have looked like? What could David Copperfield have done in the blacking factory where he had been sent to work as a child? These are very important things. It gives you life skills. Uh, mm, Social media does not give you life skills.
Well, I had a lot of fun reading through these books, and my personal favorites were the anecdotes. So many different anecdotes about so many different people. But somehow, I think we missed out on Tesla.
It's possibly that was an oversight on our part because Tesla was one of the most brilliant scientists of the last 150 years. The trouble was that he was not a very good businessman, while his competitor, Thomas Alva Edison, was an extremely clever businessman. But the electricity we use everywhere in the world, except for the US possibly, is the alternating current, AC, which was Tesla's invention. There is also an interesting Indian connection with Tesla. Tesla met Swami Vivekananda when he was in Chicago addressing the Parliament of World Religions. And Tesla spent a lot of time with him and he was quite fascinated by Vivekananda's Vedanta philosophy. In fact, Tesla has written in his letters about how impressed he was and how he too came to believe in Vedanta. So, yes, I think that was an oversight. We should have included Tesla. And of course, Elon Musk is the richest man in the world, and his company is called Tesla.
The media often portrays Indian technologists as crucial to the world progress. Unlike earlier generations who focused on creating for others, today's innovators are making significant strides within India. Your book highlights this innovation revolution. Can you share more about the exciting development happening in this field?
I will cite one organization, Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO. It has done things which we never thought possible, like landing the first spacecraft on the dark side of the moon, like sending a spacecraft to Mars. These we never thought possible. And the most beautiful thing about ISRO is so many of their senior scientists are women. And obviously, ISRO being a government organization does not pay that high a salary, but its achievement at a cost that is 1% of possibly what the Americans spent to send a spacecraft to Mars or to the moon is really admirable. I mean, this is one organization that we should be really proud of. Of course, the key to success of ISRO is also that ISRO has always been led by scientists. It is the only Indian science government science organization where a bureaucrat is not in charge. Scientists are in charge. That is how it should be done.
Thank you so much for being with us today. It's been a pleasure and an honor.
So thank you for calling us here. It was great interacting with both of you. It was my first podcast, and I hope children will enjoy reading our book. It's been a labor of love for us. Thank you.
We sincerely hope that we have done an adequate job writing this book, and I hope children will enjoy reading the book and their curiosity will be aroused and they will read more. All of them need not be scientists or engineers or doctors, but these are not only theories but personal stories of great men. Some fortunate men, some unfortunate men who did not get their due. But that is how life is. Thank you.
Why the Apple Falls by Sandipan Deb and Swagata Deb. This book is an enthralling exploration of the fundamental principles that govern the universe. This captivating book delves into the enigmatic realm of quantum mechanics, presenting complex concepts like entanglement and superposition in an accessible and engaging way. Some of the portions are illustrated, and there are, of course, relatable analogies. The authors unravel the profound mysteries of particles behaving in ways that defy common sense. And now it's time for Bookbibuli Read Record, interwoven with fascinating historical anecdotes and insights into groundbreaking experiments. This book not only sheds light on the bizarre world of quantum physics, but also ignites curiosity about the very fabric of reality. It talks about every small innovation that has taken place, starting from zero till zero again. It's an invitation to embark on a mind-bending journey that challenges our understanding of the universe and our place within it. The book leading to this book are The Magical World of Mathematics, Curiouser, and The Amazing Adventures of Little. And the apt successor would be Surely You're Joking, Mr. Penniman? Until next week, better read, read better.